Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to make a video on Protection Paladins. Now, I've been playing Protection Paladin for many years now. Going on 15 years, I would say. I've been playing it since I was in high school. And the majority of the time, it's been a Protection Paladin off and on with Retribution here and there. And I feel it's my duty, as someone that has a little bit of knowledge in the class, to share it with the up-and-coming Paladins that are heading into the Burning Crusade now, which is right around the corner. Today is the 28th, Friday the 28th, and it's only a few days away. The first is the launch of TBC. Very exciting, very exciting. A lot of people are playing Paladins right now, and it is the flavor of the month, it feels like. I have seen a lot of Paladins, now, not all of them know what they're doing, I can tell, but that's, you know, it is what it is. So, I kind of wanted to share a little bit of knowledge of what I have on the topic. So, first off, I wanted to show a little bit of footage here of kind of how I do AoE grinding, for one. This is one topic I wanted to go over, because there's a lot of people that want to make a Protection Paladin to AoE farm, because they're very good at that. AoE, gold farming, dungeon farming, stuff like that. And there's certain ways to do it and certain ways not really to do it, and I have a few tips and tricks to kind of help you out. All right, usually what I do is start with Seal of Wisdom, because you want to maintain your mana as much as you can. You expel quite a bit of mana, especially in large pulls like this. Also keep in mind, try your best to keep your shield facing towards the enemy. You cannot reflect any damage with Holy Shield if you are not blocking, and to block you can only block from the front. Also bear in mind range targets, so you can LOS them, line of sight, to bring them closer. A lot of mobs in the game are very different, but range targets, if you line of sight them, you can bring them a little closer to melee them, so you can clump them all together and then just consecrate them down. Real basic AoE farm. Okay, now I want to cut over to my Paladin currently, what I have gear-wise and what I'm speccing my character currently to run into TBC, going into TBC, leveling up from 60 to 70. Right now, my Paladin doesn't have the best gear, but it's pretty decent. It's going to help me substantially going through the TBC dungeons. That's going to be my primary source of leveling, most likely, doing dungeon grinding. Okay, so first off, my helmet is Field Marshal helmet. It was a little bit better than my tier 1 helmet, so I went with that. The main bonus that I get from this is a little bit more spell damage. The other one didn't have nearly as much, so it's not crazy. But whenever you get your gear started, you want a pretty good balance between defensive stats and spell damage, because spell damage equates to aggro on a Paladin. All of our spell damage is pretty much how we generate aggro. Your main hand weapon, 99% of the time, is going to be a spell damage weapon of some kind. You don't need a melee DPS specific weapon. Like, it's totally pointless. That is not how we generate aggro. Right now, I just have the Grand Marshal's Warhammer. It has 45 spell power on it, which is not bad. I could not get my hands on a better spell power weapon in Classic WoW. It just wasn't in the cards. It didn't happen. It is what it is. But this is pretty decent. It'll help me out. It'll help me get into TBC dungeons, and it's enough to get me going. Right now, my spell power is 148. Not fabulous, like I was saying. My gear's not the best. This isn't Nax gear by any means. And I have 300 healing. So the 148 spell power and then the 300 healing on top of that will allow me to sustain myself pretty well with between aggro and then self-healing if I need to heal myself in like a real shitty situation. But I'm gonna just finish my gear here. So let's go to defensive. So right now my armor is 9,600. Defense rating is 352 plus 40 defense rating, and then I got 11.14 dodge, 9.08 parry, 12.08 block, and that's not bad. It's not bad statistics. If I use my macro here, it has 39.126 baseline avoidance. That's not bad. And then, you know, if you really wanted to spice it up, what you can do is hit Holy Shield, and then hit this 69.126, and 69% avoidance is pretty good. Now this macro I have here, the avoidance macro, I'll talk more about that shortly. I'll come back to that because it is a very nice macro that you want to have as a tank in TBC. That macro did not work until the TBC pre-patch hit. But going back to the gear, so like I was saying, you want a nice mix of defense and spell power. It becomes a lot easier to itemize that in TBC because the gear, a lot of the tanking gear specific to a paladin has spell power and defensive stats on it, which makes it ideal for a paladin. You can really tell the difference between Prot paladin gear and Prot warrior gear because it's really itemized for either one. You'll have intel on one and spell power, or you won't have any intel, or you have like crit and agility or something. They make it pretty easy to differentiate between the two pieces, really. I have a couple pieces of judgment pieces. I managed to pick those up as a healer when I was healing in Classic WoW. Was not my favorite time healing raids. I did not enjoy that. Some ZG pieces, 2-piece ZG set. Not great, but it's all right. Judgment. This is a decent one from ZG. Defense and dodge. It's not too bad. Judgment. The two rings from ZG are very nice, by the way. Very nice. You get some very nice defensive stats on it. Now down to my trinkets. The trinkets are interesting. Now, this one here, I really like this one for AoE grinding. This, I don't know how many people got into this trinket, use this trinket, how many Prot Paladins have this trinket, or they're using it for AoE farming, but it's very good. When you use this, it's on a 3-minute cooldown. It gives 25 nature damage to the attacker for 30 seconds. That is a lot of damage, especially if you have 10 to 15 mobs attacking you. Each one gets hit by 25 damage each time they hit you for 30 seconds. That adds up pretty good. So I enjoy this trinket a lot. This is a very nice trinket. This is one of the trinkets I use anyway. This Zandalari Hero Charm is also very nice for Prot Paladins. Very nice. I use this as a healer, and I also use this as a Prot Paladin as well because it gives healing bonus as well as spell damage. It gives 204 spell damage. So over here, when I go to spell damage, and then I'll hit this, it gives me 352 spell damage and 708 healing. So if you pop this on initial pull to generate aggro in the start of a boss fight, for instance, or a large pull in a dungeon group raid scenario, this will help a lot to boost your aggro generation. A lot. So if you have anything that increases your spell power, that'll increase your aggro by a lot. Always remember, spell power is aggro. Don't go with just straight melee DPS stats to get aggro. That works for warriors. It does not work for paladins. We're completely different. And we rely a lot on reflect damage. For instance, like our Holy Shield, the attacker takes damage whenever we block, and we have Holy Shield up. Okay, we have Retribution Aura. The attacker takes damage whenever they attack you. It's It's just kind of like what we do. That's why I usually have a spike, a shield spike on my my shield, because I'm reflecting damage anyway on multiple different sources. Let's tack on another one. That's why I usually go with this trinket here, the fetish, the trinket of spikes, the nature damage. Because if you have one additional source of reflect damage that gets reflected back to your attacker, it helps your aggro so much when 10 to 15 things are attacking you at once. It scales up really, really nicely. I think it was SM Cathedral. I farmed like half the room, and I was doing 500 plus DPS. 500 plus DPS on a Prot Paladin, which was fucking crazy to think about. Alright, now you're gonna see me run around the room here, try to gather as many mobs as I possibly can. You gotta always try your very best to keep your shield facing the targets. You can't always do that, but do what you can. You gotta pay attention to how many mobs you're grabbing. You don't want to get too many or they'll kill you before you get them all dead. They deal very little damage, but if you have enough of them, they will kill you. Now you did notice I did use my Thorns trinket during the pull, so it'll deal a little bit of damage to them as I'm collecting them. Probably wasn't the most optimized, but it worked very well. And now I will pop my spell power trinket and then start laying down some heavy consecrates. Deal most spell damage I possibly can. In situations like this, if you get into trouble, what you can do is hit your bubble and then use a bandage while you're bubbled and a potion if need be to get your HP back up and then finish them off. Okay, so that's the gear. That's the gear. That's what I got. It's not fabulous. It's not the best in the slot, but it's very decent gear going into TBC, and it gives you a decent idea of what you should go for. Kind of scenario. Let me talk about that macro real quick. So this macro that I have, this avoidance macro, I'm going to put this in the description in the video down below. And what this is, it pretty much crunches all the numbers of your defensive stats and adds them all up and then shoots them out as a number of your avoidance rating. Now, in TBC, you want 102.4 avoidance rating. That's what you're shooting for. It calculates like defense rating, dodge, parry, block, all that stuff. And armor, I think it might calculate that too. I'm not entirely sure how it works. I just know it works. Because there's crushing blows you get, and 102% avoidance helps mitigate crushing blows in TBC. So this is a very good macro, and I would recommend you get it for sure and use it all the time. Because if you swap out a piece of gear, you click on the button, swap the piece back and forth, click on it again, and you know you can determine how much better a piece of gear is just by clicking on this macro, because it'll change the avoidance statistic. And if you're going for more avoidance, that's what you want. But it doesn't calculate HP. And HP is a very important thing for TBC Prot Paladins. We almost turn into druids. We stack a lot of HP. Like every gem slot is pretty much raw stamina gems. It pretty much is all stamina. If you put all stamina in your gear slots on a Prot Paladin, you're doing all right, because that's the majority of what you're going to be putting in there. All right. Now I wanted to look at my spec. Right now, this is my level 60 pre-patch TBC spec. I have no points in Holy. Now, this is I'm not saying this is the best spec you could possibly go with. There's some adjustments that could be made, but this is just what I go with. Let's go to Retribution, because that'll be a little easier. I have 7 points in Retribution. These are the points I shoved in here that were kind of spare from protection that I wanted to get more parry rating out of, because parry rating adds into your additional avoidance. So I'm definitely going to max this out. I'm going to put 3 more points in here as I level up, and this will also increase my avoidance, which is great. Ultimately, I want to get into Pursuit of Justice because this is a very good talent, and I would highly recommend it for any protection paladin because we're slow as shit. Our movement speed feels slow. It's just we don't get around very fast. A lot of other classes have movement increasing abilities and stuff like that, but we really don't. We don't have the charger mount quite yet, but this is a very good one, and I would highly recommend it. So going into TBC once I'm 70, I'm going to spec into that, and I'm also going to get Eye for an Eye. In my monkey brain, I think anyway, Eye for an Eye is going to be a very nice defensive reflect damage because it reflects damaged magical base damage. Because right now, you don't reflect magical base damage unless you have this as a Prot Pally. So this is kind of like a little bit of a spell reflect, a little bit. It'll work good in PvP and PvE. Reflect damage for spell damage is very nice. All right, so going into protection. Now, obviously you go with Redoubt, Shield Specialization, Precision because, you know, you naturally don't have a lot of hit rating. Go for the Kings, obviously. Improve Righteous Fury, you got to always max that out. Now, these two here, I just throw these points over here mainly so I can get deeper down in the tree. Toughness is not like anything special. Increase your total armor value. It's gonna be it's not gonna be a huge part of your avoidance. Increasing your armor value. Now increase your defensive skill is very nice. I don't have enough points to really max this out at the moment. Once I get to 70, I might toss some points in here. It really depends. But 3 is decent. It gives me 12 extra defense rating, which is not bad. Let's move on down here now. I didn't put any points in these. I don't see the point in these. Let's go down here. Spell Warding, very good. Reduces spell damage taken. Very good. I only put 2 points in Reckoning because there's no point maxing that out if you're getting attacked by 10 to 15 mobs at one time. If you're getting attacked that often, this will proc a lot. You don't need very many points in this. You could go as low as 1 point in this, because if you're getting attacked by 10 mobs, your chance of proccing this is very high. I just put 2 in there just cuz. I could probably move some around, but this is not my final spec at 70 though. Sanctuary, very good. Obviously, this is very good. Sacred Duty. Now, this is one of the new talents that we got in the TBC pre-patch. Oh man, it's nice. It's nice. Like increasing your stamina by 6%, and then you get another, was it 10% down here? Yeah, it's very nice. Paladins are stacking that HP, and it's building our HP up quite a bit. The stamina's getting higher. One-handed weapon specialization, it's not bad. You know, it just increases your melee swings, you know. It's not that great because most of your damage comes from concentrate anyway. And that's spell-based damage. So, one-handed weapon skill doesn't do a whole lot for us, so I just kind of put a couple points in there just to get it a little deeper down here. But that's it. Holy Shield is a must. Now, improved Holy Shield is not a must, but I recommend it. I feel like it's a very good choice because you get an additional charges, and it gives you a little bit more block rating. Ardent Defender, very good. Very good. Reduced damage taken at a certain amount of HP, very good. And then Avenger Shield. Some people don't get it, some people do. I recommend it because it's a good aggro generating ability in the beginning of a fight. The only problem with Avenger Shield in this current stage, it has a cast time of 1 second. Now, 1 second cast time doesn't feel like a lot, but when you're getting attacked by 15 mobs at one time, you cannot cast anything. You cannot. You will get interrupted, or the knockback, the spell knockback will make it not null and void. You can't get anything off. So this is good to start a fight, do initial pull, something like that. But I would not recommend using Avenger Shield. during a fight, unless there's only like one thing attacking you, like a boss. You could use it for additional aggro, but it does have a high mana cost. It's 500 mana for rank 1. I think, is this rank 2? Rank 2 is 615 mana. That's kind of pricey mana wise. So it's not bad. It's not bad, but it's very situational. You can't use it as much as you would like to. You're mainly spamming Holy Shield. That's your main spamming, that and Consecration. But you spam that and Consecration. Okay, so that's my talents that I go with. It's not an end-all, be-all talent-wise. You can kind of move some things around, but there's a few in there that you definitely want to get. And if you use this template as a template, really, you can't go that wrong, really. You can't go that wrong. Okay, another thing I wanted to touch on. For the love of God, if you are a protection paladin and you are tanking in a dungeon or a raid and you see your HP dropping substantially and you're thinking, oh man, I better bubble. It's like you're like half health. There's no heals in sight. You don't know what's going to happen. For the love of God, do not hit Divine Shield or any other form of bubble on yourself. I have seen so many paladins think for some reason it is a good idea to hit your bubble when you're tanking. That's a very bad idea. Whenever you do that, what do you think happens? You lose aggro on the boss. You lose aggro on whatever you're tanking. And it goes and runs to whoever else it wants to. You have to have faith that your healers are going to heal you, because if you don't get heals and you die, it's a bad situation. But if you are tanking and you hit bubble to save yourself, and then the mob or the boss goes and kills somebody else, and then everybody gets mad at you because you're still alive and you lost aggro like that, it's on you. It's better to die and not get heals and blame the healer than to survive because you put a bubble on yourself and got somebody else killed or the raid killed. I would highly not recommend this. If you're in a tanking situation, do not hit Divine Shield. I've seen it too many times. Do not do it. Do not do it. Alright guys, thanks for watching the video. I appreciate it. If you made it this far and you enjoyed the video, make sure you hit that like button. Also, subscribe. If you're interested in more of my content, check out my Twitch channel at twitch.tv/ScottXXV. I'm live Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays. Till next time, peace out.